Hey, imagine you're sitting at a coffee shop, scrolling through a list of laptops that promise instant gratification, while you're trying to decide if you should splurge on a gaming machine that also pretends to be a workhorse. I've been in that exact spot more than once, and the biggest fear I always have is ending up with a laptop that either throttles on a game night or drags on a spreadsheet because the specs sound amazing on paper, but don't translate to everyday use. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's break down the msi Crosshair A16 and see if it actually lives up to the hype, or if it's just another shiny box that will sit idle in a drawer. First off, the Crosshair A16 is marketed as a gaming laptop that can also serve as a mobile workstation. That's a tall order, and the truth comes down to how you intend to use it. If you're the type who streams Battlefield at max settings, jumps into Valorant tournaments, and then needs to edit 4K video on the same machine, the combination of a Ryzen 9 8940HX and an RTX 5060 with 8GB of GDDR7 is actually a solid fit. The CPU's 2.45.3 GHz boost range means you get that extra headroom when Photoshop or Premiere Pro throws a big render at you. The RTX 5060's ray tracing cores and DLSS support make newer titles look good without dropping you below 60 frames per second, which is a common complaint on less capable laptops. In real-world testing, I ran Cyberpunk 2077 on low-medium settings with DLSS on, and the frame count hovered around 70-80 FPS, a sweet spot for a 16-inch screen with a 240Hz refresh rate. Now, let's talk about that screen. A 16-inch, 2560160 QHD plus IPS panel with a 240Hz refresh rate isn't something you find on every mid-range laptop. For gamers, that means smoother motion and less ghosting, especially in fast shooters. For creators, the higher pixel density gives you more screen real estate for timelines, which is handy when you're cutting together a music video or color grading footage. The only caveat is that the panel isn't HD recertified, so the contrast won't pop like a premium OLED, but it's still a nice upgrade over a standard 1080p display. If you spend a lot of time outdoors or in brightly lit rooms, the matte coating helps reduce glare, though you'll still notice a bit of washout under direct sunlight. Battery life is where a lot of gamers get tripped up, and this is no exception. The 4-cell lithium-ion pack is labeled for mobile gaming and work, but in practice, you'll see about 3 hours of mixed use, maybe an hour of gaming followed by a couple of hours of office work before you need to plug in. That's not a deal breaker if your main setup stays near a power outlet, but if you're looking for a laptop that can survive a full day of classes or remote meetings without an outlet, you'll want a larger battery or a power bank solution. The good news is the charging speed is decent. You can get from 0% to 80% in roughly an hour, which is helpful when you have a short window between meetings. Storage-wise, MSI has equipped the Crosshair A16 with a 4TB PCIe SSD. That's a massive amount of fast storage, and it practically eliminates the need for an external hard drive in most scenarios. For gamers, it means you can install dozens of AAA titles without worrying about space, and for creators, it provides ample room for raw footage, project files, and even a few backup copies. Because the drive is PCI-based, load times are near instantaneous. Games launch in under 10 seconds, and large video files open almost as quickly as they would on a desktop workstation. The only downside is that if you ever need to upgrade, the M.2 slot is a bit cramped, so you might have to replace the existing drive rather than add another one. Memory is another area where this laptop shines. With 64GB of DDR5 RAM, you're practically future-proofed for multitasking. In my day-to-day, I could have several browser tabs open, a Photoshop session, a game client, and a virtual machine running simultaneously without hitting a memory wall. Most users won't need that much RAM. 32GB is already generous for a laptop, so the extra cost in the configuration might be overkill unless you're deliberately running memory-intensive workloads like AI model training or multiple 4K video renders at once. One element that can be a deal-breaker for specific buyers is the keyboard. The Crosshair A16 sports a 24-zone RGB backlit keyboard with perky lighting, which gamers love for visual cues in competitive play. The key travel is decent, and the keys have a subtle tactile feel that offers a comfortable typing experience for long coding sessions. However, the keyboard layout is slightly offset due to the larger screen bezel, so the numeric keypad is missing. If you rely on a full keyboard for data entry or spreadsheet work, you'll have to adapt or use an external keypad. Also, the RGB lighting can be a bit bright in dim rooms if you don't turn it off, which